Welcome back to Access Anime. I'm Henshin Ikeda, and today we'll be reviewing and doing a walkthrough of Naruto Shippuden, episode 284. Now, I'll keep my comment and my rating at the end of this clip, so stay tuned. But let's dive right in. Now, if you remember from the last episode, we don't get to see Naruto versus A. That doesn't happen, so I'm sorry about that. But what we do get to see is Madara, and it looks like 6 different reanimated shinobi. And I think one of them is Itachi, but I could be wrong. Now we also get to see them with the Rinnegan in one eye, and the Sharingan in the next eye, and the evolved form of the Sharingan. And they're all Genkrai users, officially, apparently. But in this episode, we really do not get to see that at all, so it's like a little filler, per se. But let's dive right into this episode. So we open the episode off with seeing dead bodies on the battlefield, all shinobi from the Allied forces. It was pretty obvious, to be honest. But we move past that and we get to see Kakashi finally. Kakashi and Guy. And anyways, we see 2 of their allied force members get attacked. And we're up to date where Kakashi tells everyone, we're going to regroup. We're being attacked right now, so we need to regroup because they did not see this coming. It is still nighttime out. It's not morning just yet. We're getting there, but it's still night out. So they didn't see this ambush. What Kakashi was able to deduce was they're using guerrilla war tactics in order to win the night. That's the best guess right now. But again, the enemy right now is using guerrilla tactics. So we're not going to see a lot of main characters, just small little hit and runs, more or less. But again, we see Guy, we see Kakashi, and they tell everyone, don't attack the enemy, run away, regroup, and we'll deal with this later. And this episode was mainly about Sai, so just putting that out there, this was all about Sai. Really no other main characters, just Sai in general. We see Sai talking to Kakashi, and apparently Kakashi wants Sai to use his sealing jutsu that he learned when he was with the Foundation. Again, Sai really isn't with the Foundation anymore, and for everyone that doesn't remember what the Foundation was, it was run by Donzo, which is the substitute Hokage. But I digress. We see Kakashi talking to Rock Lee, and Lee is being put as Sai's bodyguard. But what's interesting is, Lee is really nice. He's always out there. He's got so many friends, positive attitude, and it's always great to see him. He was trying to help Sai with his sealing jutsu. He's like, I'm here for you. And Sai turns around and says, I'm gonna need, you need to stay away from me. I need some time to myself. And Lee was like, okay. Now I thought, okay, that's cool. But Lee, this was I found interesting. He finds Kakashi. He's like, yeah, something's up with Sai. Tell me more about his jutsu. And we find out that Sai's jutsu from the Foundation, in order for him to use it, he has to use his feelings. And when he was young, growing up to an adult, he was told to withhold those feelings and emotions in. So this is like a 360, so he has to let them out in order for him to use his sealing jutsu on these reanimated bodies. Because remember, in order to fight these reanimated bodies from the enemy forces, you have to use a sealing jutsu, because these guys really can't die automatically. I mean, there's 2 ways they can die, we've seen. One being sealed up and held against their will, and the second one is if they give up by themselves, I guess. I don't know how to explain it, but Zabuza was one of those guys, per se. Now, I also found this interesting. Throughout this episode, we see Kakashi still having Zabuza's his blade. I find that very interesting. He hasn't thrown it away, or how it would slowly go away in the series. No, he keeps it. So now Kakashi has Zabuza's blade. Now, out of nowhere, I guess they're being attacked everywhere, and we see a guy by the name of Insue. And Insue is, I guess he was trying to use the shadow paralysis. They're in a small little group, and one of the guys, the allied force members, turns around and talks to this guy called Insue, and he says, use your shadow paralysis. But before he can finish it, apparently one of the 7 ninja swordmen of the mist appears, and they just start attacking them. So now you see a few of these reanimated shinobi attacking, and they're cutting down the numbers. But before that can happen, Kakashi jumps in out of nowhere, takes Lee, and also takes Sai with him just in the nick of time, and they kind of save the day. But just when it looked like everything was okay and they had Insue was able to use his shadow paralysis on this guy, the seven ninja sword men of the mist. Kakashi left, said, "You guys take care of this situation. I'm gonna go over there. You gotta take care of everything else," because he's the captain, so he has to make sure everything's all right. So now you've got Lee and Sai taking care of this little sealing jutsu thing they got going on. But there's another guy that pops out of nowhere, another reanimated shinobi. I believe he's also another member of the seven ninja swordmen of the mist. I could be wrong. I didn't see his little plate he usually has on his bandana, but I could be wrong. But he attacks also, so now you've got Lee battling that guy, and then you have Insue, who's using his shadow paralysis, which is called a shadow stitching jutsu. A lot like Orochi, like another Naruto character uses. And anyways, he's got him sealed down, and he can't move, so he can't help Lee at all. But the sad part is Lee can't really hold off as much, and we have a lot of flashbacks with we're seeing Sai and how he got his jutsu, his sealing jutsu technique like narrowed down. We also see his brother, which is, if I'm correct, I always pronounce his name wrong. In fact, I always forget his name, to be honest. I think it's Shin. Now we see Shin in Sai's flashback, and again we have a lot of flashbacks, and I really don't want to get into them because they annoy the heck out of me. I hate the flashbacks. But anyways, you see Lee getting somewhat almost defeated to an extent, and then you see Insue getting hit in the head, and he's out for the count for the moment. So now the shinobi that he had under his technique, under the shadow stitching jutsu, is now free, and this guy takes it upon himself to, attack Sai. They're not free anymore, so he can do whatever the heck he wants. But Sai, he's pretty good, to be honest. You see him finishing his technique down, and it's a tiger. He draws a tiger on a scroll and just jumps up at this guy. Now Lee's already taken care of the other, was about to take care of the other guy, but he escapes. But anyways, the tiger jumps out and grabs the I always say this wrong, the seven ninja swordsmen of the mist. Just grabs this guy and slowly takes him into the scroll to seal him. And he puts up a heck of a fight. But finally, he gets sucked into the scroll and it's done. But his swords are left out of the scroll, so it's kind of interesting. And Insue says, "You know what? I'm going to let's leave this other guy alone, the guy that escapes, because their orders were not to pursue anyone." So right now you just see Sai. He's all happy now because he's able to do his jutsu. You got Lee. He's like always positive. And Insue was, we really don't know a lot about this guy, but he was kind of okay with the situation as well. That was generally the end of the series, of this episode, not the series. So there really wasn't a lot to go on other than apparently Sai was going to give a nickname to Rock Lee, so he's got a nickname coming now. That's kind of interesting. But again, we didn't get a lot of closure on Naruto in this episode. It was more or less dedicated to Sai and seeing his sealing jutsu technique. That was about it. Final thoughts? For next episode, hopefully we don't see a lot of Sai. We see more of where Kakashi's probably going and more of Naruto's powering up. And about Madara's 6 reanimated bodies that have the Rinnegan in one eye and the Sharingan and its evolved form in the other eye, and the Genkrais that's inside of them, and there's 6 of them. That's what I want to see. This episode, not the best. I'll get to the rating in about a couple more seconds. I'd also like to see maybe more allied forces, where they're all at, because we only keep seeing somewhat of the picture. We're not seeing more of the front lines like Gaara and everyone else that's in the front. That's kind of much, they're panning that out right now, and I want to see that. But on to my ratings. Now I'm going to give this a really low rating because I didn't get to see a lot of stuff. I want to see more fighting, more closure. Didn't get that. I'll be gentle, 3.5 out of 5. But let me know what you think. Again, I'm giving this a 3.5 out of 5. I could give it a 3. I'm going to give it 3.5 because at least we saw one or two little battles and a lot of people dropping down in the allied forces, which I kind of like to see right now. It's about time we see more, because it's now morning in the anime right now. So it's no longer night, it's now the morning. And I'm like, I want to see more, not this little guerrilla warfare tactics crap. But that's where we're at, 3.5 out of 5. Comment down below thumbs up, thumbs down, subscribe above, and check me out on Twitter. Follow me if you want. But again, let me know what you think. And trust me, you comment down below, I'll read it, I'll comment back, because I love reading your guys' comments. They're always interesting to read, I'll say that. But again, 3.5 out of 5, and that ends it for my review and walkthrough of Naruto Shippuden episode 284. And that ends it for tonight. Stay tuned for tomorrow and the weekends. I'll see you later, guys, but before I go, I have to say it. You can't stop the access, but you can watch the feed. I'll see you later, guys.